Got it.
Yay. Hello, Cami. It's very nice
Got
to
it.
see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
So,
Thank you so
everyone,
much for having me.
yes, of course. So, thank you for joining both of us today on Conversations with Crystal Marie. My name is CrystalMarieSealy, and I am author and keynote and mom. And what I speak most about is authenticity for gentle resilience. We speak about self, the feminine, and intuition, and all the ways that these things come together to allow all of who we are to be in the world. So
Awesome.
today we have a guest who is multifaceted, like everybody that we bring onto these conversations. And I hope you'll be as inspired by her story as I am. So I will let Cami tell you a little bit more about who she is, and we'll get into her journey on authenticity as well. Hi, Cami.
Hi, Crystal Marie. Thank you so much for having me on your session here today. I really, really do appreciate it. We go way back, but I appreciate you having me on this platform so I can share a bit of my story. So I am Cami, as you know. I am from the Caribbean. I was born in Trinidad. I lived there till I was 13, and I actually moved to Grenada for 7 years. And there have been lots of life lessons along the way, I'm sure, as you would have known.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to the US, I would say in the year 2000. And at first, it was a bit of a culture shock. And over the years, I would say in a mix between corporate life, finding wellness, doing dance, there have just been lessons that I've learned along the way that I would like to share. And that's the reason for the book.
Yes.
Um, yes. So my experience has been in the corporate world. I've done a lot of finance and retail banking. That's been my bread and butter for a long time.
Yeah.
And on the side, I've just been very eclectic. So I've been blessed to dance and cook and sing and anything artsy. I'm
Nice.
pretty much all arts.
Yes.
And so there's this dual thing going on where you have some arts and then some in the financial world, but everything sort of came to a head where I had to figure out who is Cami, what do I want out of life, because we all
Yeah.
kind of just go through life
Yeah.
and trying to fulfill whatever your purpose is and search for it and find it. And sometimes we find it in under good circumstances, and sometimes we find pieces of it in not so happy circumstances.
Yes.
And being able to reconcile all of that and make what your life is, in a way that fulfills you. You may not be happy 100% of the time, but it fulfills you, I think, is really important for any soul coming to this earth, to be able to share what was placed in them to share with others.
I think that's really amazing, like especially a soul coming to this earth, because
Yes.
any obstacle could come our way, but I love how you still bring your light out to shine no matter where you've been.
Hmm. Right.
That's really exciting to hear.
Thank
So
you.
that's a big part of your all of it sounds like an authenticity journey,
Yeah,
So
and it also seems like, not to cut you, it seems like everybody's searching for it.
yes.
Even like in the bank when I worked, like people be like, I really love to do this one day, or I'd
One
really
day.
like to do this one day.
Hmm.
Why not work on it now? Why
No,
not try it now? You
exactly.
know, it reminds me of even when I had an opportunity to work as a health coach in a weight loss center, and
Yes.
we'd ask our clients, what when you do get to your goal, what do you want to do?
Yes.
And the owner says, well, why wait till you get to your goal? Because time is, life is not, what's the phrase?
Life isn't
It's
guaranteed.
not
Time isn't
guaranteed.
guaranteed. Yes.
Time isn't
Yes.
guaranteed. So you kind of just have to live life in the best way you can now.
Yes.
And, dare I say, realistically. So you work with what you have to work with while
Hmm.
working on what you want to achieve.
Yes.
And I truly believe that if your intentions are pure and it's something that you want to do,
Yeah.
whatever you call it, whether you call it God, whether you call it Jesus, whether you call it Allah, we'll find a way to make all those things happen and make them converge
Yeah.
so you can achieve what it is.
I truly believe that, and I think when we come home to ourselves, all of that gets easier because
Hmm.
when you're authentic, it sheds a lot of the load of having to keep up the masks so that you
Right.
don't have to focus on that anymore. You can really just focus on what you're here for. And that's what I'm
Hmm.
hearing in everything that you're saying, that you're just
Yeah.
like focus, because there's no comparing, right? And it's very
Right.
easy in finance and banking to get into that competitive space, and you don't have that, you know? It can
Right.
happen a lot in the arts too, and I'm not hearing that. So this is really
Yes.
inspiring. Yes.
Well, the thing is, it happens, I think, in every facet of life,
Yes.
because for a while I was thinking, okay, well, let me get out of banking, and then I'll do this other thing, and then I wouldn't have to deal with it. And then you realize it's
It's people.
everywhere. People, and people are going to be people. So you might as well just figure out
Yes.
how to work with the people issue, as my brother and mentor tells me,
Yes.
And my brother is Karen Hector. He's a radio
Yes.
producer. He's dealt with lots of famous people,
Mm.
and his
Yes.
mantra is like, don't fret. Don't fret.
Yes.
Don't, like, he's like, focus on what you have to do,
Yes.
because if you think to worry about what the other person's doing, that's a headache in your head. You don't
It
need it.
is. And a distraction.
And a
So
distraction.
true. Yes. And
Very,
that's
very
where
good.
gentle resilience comes in because
Hmm.
any fight takes your energy. But if you can find
Right.
ways, and you don't always have to, you can't always get away from the fight. There's some
Hmm.
situations where we have to go through it. But when you can, when you could just let that go, that is what
Right.
I call gentle resilience. It doesn't mean you don't feel it. It means you take it home and feel it so you're not dealing with it at an escalated level that's draining. You
Hmm.
deal with it and then you can let it go. And you're more resilient for it because you have more energy reserves. You haven't used those up dealing with these
Right.
people who at the end of the day don't matter. If they show you they're not compatible, then we can release them. That
Hmm.
that is such a good point.
I loved what you have written. Somewhere on your page, you wrote something about it takes more strength to have that
Yes.
resilience that is gentle. It
Yes.
doesn't mean that you're a pushover.
No.
It actually takes more strength to do that,
Yes.
And I will be the first to say I don't get it right all the time.
Nobody does.
I'm striving towards, because I just grew up very, I am woman, hear me roar, I am
Yes.
coming, you know,
All of
you
us,
know,
right? Yes, that's what we're
yeah.
taught. You have to, you have to. Yes.
You have to stand up for
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah.
I do believe that there is a place and that you can gently do it. And I think it's important for me to highlight it because it's something I learned from my mother.
Hmm.
Um, I had this incident where I was working in the bank, and this person that I was working with, for whatever reason,
Yes.
was really trying to sabotage what I was doing, or at least that's how it
Mm.
felt to me.
Yes.
And so there was something that happened. I got in trouble for it. Yes, got in trouble
It
for it.
happened.
And I was telling my mother about it, and I said, in the moment, I wish I would have said this to the person. So it's like if I was
Yeah.
speeched off, I wish I would have said
We
this.
all,
And
yes.
she said, no, 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 no. She said, tomorrow. She said, this is what you're going to do. She said, you're going to call this person aside. It doesn't matter if they're your supervisor. It doesn't matter if they're under you. She said, everybody deserves a level of respect. Now, however she responds to it is on her,
Hmm.
but you need to pull her aside and gently, like, say, this is what happened yesterday. I felt like it was uncalled for.
Hmm.
Such and such. Please don't do it again.
Yes.
And that's a boundary that I had to set. And afterwards, she understood. Now, did she like me necessarily? Maybe not. But I think after that, we actually had a much better working relationship because she knew my line, I knew her line.
Yes.
And then that allows even better relationships because it tells you who can understand your boundaries and who
Yes.
release if they
Exactly.
can. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is so true. And you know what is powerful in that too? You didn't say it, but it is exactly that situation. You gave yourself permission to revisit the situation. So many times we feel like we were supposed to say it then and we didn't say it, so it's done. But
Mm-hmm.
this is so important. I just had another interview and this came up as well. The things that we wish we
Oh,
said. So thank you
yes.
for raising that again because it is true. We wish we said. And then I said, we should make a list so that when it comes up again, we can deal with it. We have the words. But this is
Mm-hmm.
powerful. You have every right to revisit, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
So thank
That's
you.
good. You see, I
Yes.
learn things every day.
No, I
Um,
appreciate this. Yes.
I really, really do. Because even I would say, even, I mean, I've toned down quite a bit over the years, and some of these things you just learn with time.
Yeah.
But even like looking at your page and seeing some of the things that are written on there,
Mhm.
it's always good to have that reminder. It reminds me of even dance,
Yes.
where the really good dancers don't necessarily do the flashiest moves, but they just
Mhm.
practice the fundamentals. And
Yes.
if you stick to the fundamentals, you can do a basic move and it just looks absolutely elegant,
Yes.
with time and with practice and with patience. So,
Yes. Exactly. I appreciate that. And I think you talk a lot about the way you speak about it. Sounds like
mhm.
you're inviting self-acceptance too,
Yes.
because everybody wants to be over the top and everybody wants to go, like you said, the fancy moves. But when you
Hmm.
have the fundamentals, I feel like there's a level of peace with that,
Hmm.
you know, and
Yes.
that accepting where we are at this time, there's a peace that comes that we never allow ourselves to just be thankful for and to celebrate just where we are. So,
Celebrate is where we are.
yes,
Yes.
that
I
I
remember
really
because
like.
that's what I read right from the book. Yes, it
Yes,
is. And it was so weird. Dancers go through so much.
yes,
I mean, everybody goes through so much. But just in my years of going out dancing, something similar to the story that I had mentioned,
yes.
was I never forget there was this girl, I went to, because after each set you kind of go in the bathroom. So she went to the bathroom and she was looking at herself in the mirror, like really just looking. And I'm like,
Oh my
I just
God.
noticed her like looking at herself, like
Yeah,
almost scrutinizing herself. I said, "Well,
yeah.
I said, what's wrong?" She said, "Well, I had a car accident a couple years ago, and I had a bunch of surgeries on my face, and she was touching up her makeup, and she was worried about how she looked. This girl was gorgeous. If you look at this girl, you would not know she had been through anything."
Yeah.
And I had to say to her eventually, "I'm
Go
an
ahead.
esthetician. I deal with skin all the time. If you did not tell me that, I would have never known."
No. Yeah.
you know and then she perked up and she
And
she
she
had a
was
great time.
fine.
It
Oh,
was
I love
fine.
that. Yeah.
So
Oh my God.
yeah, it is self-acceptance of where you are, the shell that you come in, what God gives you. While you may not be where you want to be, but at least you
You are here.
appreciate that you are here. you
Yes.
know
Yes.
you are
It's so
here.
true.
You are here, and you're here to dance or whatever the thing is,
Yeah.
and you're here to give. And it's not less than anybody else's, and it's not to be
No,
compared to anybody else's.
exactly. And I
You
think that
know.
is magic. That is really
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear more about your book and all the other things you have on the go. What would you like to
Okay.
share?
Well, something tells me, let's talk about the islands first. So I'll do the islands real
Okay.
quick because it's not the emphasis of it, but I'm so excited.
Me too.
Um, Yeah, it's been a dream of mine for a long time to
Yeah.
bring dance back to the Caribbean because that's where it
Okay.
started for me.
Hmm.
Dancing started for me in Trinidad, in a little, well, when I was really little, actually, in a little studio doing ballet and watching all the ballerinas and wondering if you could ever dance at the like that. I used to look at them in
Yeah.
the night,
Yeah.
in Point Fortin, and as I grew older, I was blessed to have the opportunity to dance in Grenada with some instructors that came over. So it was the same situation. Like they came over, they came for a week, they taught us some classes, and we had a dance. So
Okay.
we're having something called the Islands. And I'm grateful to have instructors with me, Joe Figueroa, who I've known for over 20 years. He's taught me salsa and bachata. So he will be teaching. Danielle Collins, who is absolutely amazing. He has traveled extensively teaching dance, teaching salsa bachata. He was also, I know I'm really talking fast because I'm so excited,
That's
but
okay.
he's also was on the University of Delaware Ballroom team with me and did very well there as well.
Okay.
And then we have Zavio Javier. He is Argentine Tango dancer and instructor, and he also has extensive experience in it.
Okay.
And so I'm grateful to have the three of them alongside myself, my brother, Karen Hector,
Okay.
my mentor and friend, Lisa DeBevic,
Okay.
And fingers crossed, if we can get him, Kano Keys, aka
Okay.
Noel Dominguez, will be performing. So
Oh,
I'm really
wow.
excited for this lineup. And I am sending all the manifestation good vibes to it, that I'm able to pull it off the way I want to.
That would be great.
And it is this fall. So once we have more
Yeah.
news on that, I'll definitely let everybody know.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And any
Yeah.
tips you have? Any tips
For
that you have on just how to stay authentic in the midst of all the madness? Because I'm sure things
well,
have come up with this dance and with the book and
with
just
the dance,
everything
how to
else that
stay
you've spoken
authentic,
about. Yeah. Oh,
not,
with all of
you know
it.
what? I will tell you, the biggest thing I was afraid of was, what if people see me dance and they don't like it? What if I perform and they don't like it? And getting over that hump is important. Now, one of the biggest tips I'll say is practice.
Yes.
So practice, like say if you have a performance and you practice, it
Mhm.
takes away that fear when you have a performance.
Mhm.
And looking at yourself and saying, this is what I know. This is what I don't know. There's some things that I don't know that I don't even know. And it's okay.
Okay.
And that's why we have coaches, because they can check out your blind spots and tell you, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
And if you want to improve, you can. And just focusing on your own dance,
Yes.
your own things that you have going on. Because
Yeah.
I found, if I focused on somebody else too much, then everything's thrown off.
Exactly.
But if I focus on, this is what I have to do, and it
Yes.
doesn't mean, I truly believe it doesn't mean that you have a blind eye to everything. You
Yeah.
know what's going on, and it's always good to kind of be abreast. Like how you would, like you have a scanner and it will scan, like you
Yes.
you could scan.
Yes.
But if you're in a race to run your own race, and the people who are willing to join with you in that race, it's a blessing.
Exactly.
So
No,
that's
I
that's
agree. And it's true. I
yeah.
mean, you have to be spatially aware on stage and all of that with dance too, but you have to just focus on your part. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So, the
And
book.
then the book.
Okay.
I'm excited about the book. This book has been a long time coming. You write some things on your vision boards,
Yes.
and I'm amazed. And I'll just digress a quick second and talk about vision boards. So I
Okay.
heard about vision boards from, um, everybody knows I love makeup. It was a makeup class that I took.
Ah,
And to my Arbonne, my friend um, Kate, I think it was Kate, and she says, okay, we're going to do vision boards.
yeah.
And so she sets up all these boards. She has, back in those days we had magazines, so we
Yes.
cut out all the magazines, what we wanted. And at
Yes.
that point, I wanted a spa. So I put, like, I want this spa. I want to be an esthetician. I want to have my own spa.
Yeah.
A couple months pass by, nothing happens. I just throw away the thing.
Yeah.
And then within a year, I had my own spa out of my house. And then I was like,
Ah,
oh,
see?
that's what happened. So
Yeah.
setting intention really, really,
It
really helped.
works. Yes.
So I say that to say I did put author on there.
Yes.
So well, some of them haven't happened yet. Okay, so I
Oh,
did put I'm a
same.
mother.
Same. Yes.
I'm an author. I'm a
Yes.
nutritionist, which I am
Yes.
now.
Yes.
I put a whole list. So
Okay.
I decided to write this book because I felt it was time. I'm 42. I've lived enough about life. I even had this serendipitous moment where I was discussing my life with someone. They're like, you should write your stories.
Yes.
And this book is for people who are going through life and want some inspiration in areas where nobody really talks about all the time, and
Yes.
topics that aren't necessarily talked about all the time, especially for us immigrants coming to a new place and having to deal with a new culture.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily put in chronological order, because I'd like to do more of these books as
Yeah.
different things come up.
Yeah.
So it will be 30 stories. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be 20 or 30 stories, but I'm leaning towards 30 stories.
Okay.
And it'll be short, it'll have a lesson, it will have some learning points, and it will have some tools that helped me along the way that I think will be
Yeah.
beneficial. So that's
That's
pretty much what
amazing.
the book is about. Yeah.
But I love that. And I love that it's short stories because all of us are running around busy and headless, but short stories that are relatable. And I've read some of it
Mhm.
because you have some of the bits on
Mhm.
Instagram, and I'll
Yeah,
let people know where to find them so they can follow you. But
awesome.
it is I found it so profound that you were able to just come up with this, like to do it that way. Because all of
Yeah.
us who are writers sit there and like I have like books that have been started in however long ago, and they're just sitting there. But you're right, like people have time for digestible, and it's easier for them to relate to these stories. And I think it's so powerful that you're doing it just by your gut, like you're not putting it in
Mhm.
chronological order. So there are not all these rules because the energy of how you write this book comes through as well, right? And so far,
Right.
I'm seeing that with the stories. Like it's just all of the emotion coming through will definitely allow other people to relate to it. Like I already see people who can relate to some of them. So I'm really
Yes.
excited about this book for you.
I'm so grateful for it. And thank you so much for all your kind words. I really, really do appreciate it.
No, it's true.
For me, it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to share it with everyone. And
Yes.
hopefully, they can benefit from it as much as I have from the lessons that I've learned over time.
Yeah. I'm
You know?
sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear.
Yeah. Because one of the biggest things for me is about time and appreciating the time that different things take to happen,
Yeah.
and that time, some things just take time,
Yeah.
not everything
Exactly.
just happens once in a while. And I believe some things are ordained to happen at a set time, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you just learn to live with that sort of flow.
Yeah.
If you permit me, one of the best books I've read, there are two books. Um, one is, well, actually, one really comes to mind. It's I'm looking at it over here. Be Water
Okay.
by Shannon Lee. It's Bruce Lee's daughter. One
Okay.
of the best books I've read about learning how to flow with life instead of fight,
I quite agree. Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
yeah.
No, and so I want to say thank you. Thank you for that too, because I think all of us are looking for bits of inspiration, and there are a lot of
Mhm.
books out there that are not meaningful. So I appreciate you
Yeah,
sharing the ones that matter
yeah.
to you. So how
And
can we? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, the one last thing I wanted to say, it talks about fighting without fighting,
Ah,
and how to, like, it talks about water, how water, like, say if you have water on the surface of a building, if if it's closed off, water will find a way through the little cracks. And sometimes you have to find your way through the cracks, as people would know, like, I've had some issues with hacking on my account, and
hmm.
not everything has had access to it. I don't want to put too much attention to it, but I
Yes,
do feel the need to address it.
yes,
So I've had to just find little ways to kind of get around it,
yes.
and that will be, discussed in the book, just in
Okay.
from a helpful perspective, as
Yes,
to how that's an analogy for finding your way through
right.
life when the way you wanted it didn't happen. It may happen a different
Yes.
way, but there may be just a different angle to take it from.
That is
So
powerful. And I think no matter how many times we learn that lesson, we always have to learn it again.
yes.
Yeah, so, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that we find out how we can be in contact with you so that we don't run out of
Sure.
time and not get to talk about that. So let us
Oh,
know.
yeah. So, well, you can definitely find me on my core website that talks about everything nutrition, beauty, wellness, and dance. It's the parent page, and the other pages are linked to there.
Okay.
So it is KD Beauty Gems, GEMZ. So it's K like Kite, D like David, Beauty,
Okay.
GEMZ.
Yeah.
And you can find me there. Yep. And
Yeah.
everything's on there.
So I will
Yeah.
definitely make sure everybody has that. It will be in the description and everywhere else. And so
Yes.
thank you for your time with us, Cami. I really look forward to that book and to the islands. And I will be
Yes.
staying in touch to see what we do next.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you all the best with everything that you're involved in. It's
Thank you.
wonderful. All
Thank you,
right,
Cami.
thanks.
And
Have
have
a
a
good
great
one.
day, everyone.
You too.